So a couple things. I'm going on vacation in a week and I'm trying to film a bunch of videos that I've been wanting to film for a long time, but just kept talking myself out of for some reason. So you might see this outfit in at least one more video today. Anytime I can sit down to film, I try to do as much as I can. This video is something I've wanted to make forever, but I haven't prepared any notes. Most of the videos I've been making lately, I have just been sitting down and talking and seeing what happens. So hopefully you guys are enjoying kind of the more free-flowing, just stream of conscious style thing I'm doing. It's actually making YouTube a lot more fun and a lot less stressful for me, which I need right now. So hopefully you're down for the clown. Before we get started, make sure you check the down bar for links on my social media platforms. Thumbs up the video if you enjoy it. Subscribe if you are new here. You know you want to. My videos used to be a lot of anti-haul and beauty content. I'm slowly moving into some more lifestyle and beauty. So if you want to go on this journey with me, please do. Would love to have you. Hang out on Patreon for bonus content and, well, I'm so used to saying the book club. Speaking of the book club, we're not doing it in May, but I am doing a book video after I film this video. So if you're interested in that, keep an eye out for that as well. All of that being said, let's just get started. So a little bit of a backstory about me and journaling and how I kind of came to doing it and my relationship with it. And then I'll talk about the types of journaling you could do because I've done almost any of them that you can think of. I started journaling when I was 9 years old, and I'm so sad because the only journals that I still have, or like the oldest journals that I have, are from about 13 years ago. I guess that's a while, but I wish I had the ones from when I was like a kid in like elementary school and middle school and high school so bad, because it would be amazing to look back on that stuff. I don't know, probably not actually upon further inspection. It is something I started doing when I was 9 years old. I still remember what my first journal looked like. I got it at Walmart and it had like a marble type of texture to it, like a marble background, and it had sort of like a Renaissance painting on it. And I remember the pen that I got with it, and I used to spray my Vanilla Fields perfume on it. Like, I remember this thing. And if I'm honest, you know what got me into it is that show Doug. Do you guys remember Doug on Nickelodeon? He always started his episodes with Dear Journal. And I don't know why, it just inspired me to start doing it. And I've done it ever since. I have fallen off in more recent years, which I'll talk about in a little bit, and why I think that's a sign and kind of what I think how that manifested in my life once I quit doing it. But I've been doing it forever, and there wasn't any rhyme or reason to it. I would literally just write about like what happened that day and what I was thinking and what I was feeling. And I kid you not, I could spend hours doing this. Like I've always enjoyed writing. In fact, the older I get, and let me know if this has happened to you guys, and if you're young and watching this, listen up. Once you get a little bit older, I'm 35 now, you kind of get to a point where you look back on your younger self, you see this open-hearted, just curious, passionate, playful thing that just kind of grabbed the world by the cojones and just wanted to milk it for all it was worth. And that's how I used to be. And writing was part of that. Like, it was just this creative exercise that I was so invested in when I was younger. I would write stories, I would write songs, I would write poems. Like, I would just write myself into a stupor. And I was pretty good at it, if I do say so myself. But the sad thing is, something changed within me at some point, and I started putting up all these barriers, and there was all these rules. And I think partly being on YouTube has done this to me, because you get so used to thinking about creation in terms of like performance and analytics, and I am fully breaking up with that. Like, she doesn't go here anymore, because it's not improved my life in any way. So that's why I'm literally just doing whatever I feel like now. And the writing and the journaling was part of that. So I've noticed that since I stopped journaling, I felt more alone. That sounds really sad. But having my journal and a place just to get everything out, I need to do that also. You guys, I'm a big communicator. I'm a big talker. That's how I process things. So I have to get them out. Not being able to do that and keeping things bottled up has hindered me in a lot of ways, and it could be hindering you too, which I'll get into in a little while. As a result, I've stopped writing. I've stopped being creative in every way, because in my mind, and social media will do this to you, you get to a point where you think that everything you do has to be for the benefit and the observation of others. It's so harmful. So not journaling for the past few years has been really bad for me. I would honestly say that it's something, I mean, I have done it intermittently, but dedicated to my practice the way that I was for most of my life, it's had ripple effects, and getting back into it has had ripple effects for me. It's always pretty much come super easy to me, and I know it's not going to be the case for everyone, but for me, again, the way that I do it for the most part is just like, I just sit down and start writing, like my hand starts moving. I don't have to think about it. It just probably is the time and in the place that I am most authentically myself, because once I'm writing, I'm not thinking about what I'm writing. It's literally just like free writing my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions, and stuff comes out, man. Stuff has been coming up lately, and I'll show you my current journal. So this is my current journal, and you can tell like she's getting pretty thick now. I've actually had this since last June, May, something like that, but I quit writing in it because I don't know why. I just stopped. So most of this has been done. I think I only got about this far when I first bought this, but most of this has been done just in the past like month or so. I picked it up, and since I've started doing it again, I did not realize how blocked I was, just cut off not only from my old self that I want back so badly, this just creative, artistic, expressive, here's what I think and I don't care what you think about it person who's not so measured and curated. I miss that person and I feel cut off from her, but also I've been cut off from my own feelings because I'm an Aquarius and as a human being in general, I've always been a very analytical person, not in the way that I can only relate to things if it is in an analytical fashion. Emotions are important. We have them for a reason. I guess that for a long time, I believed that thinking about something, processing it, analyzing it, measuring it, calculating it was the same thing as feeling it. And turns out it's not. It's not at all. Because I can understand something intellectually, be able to point at it, identify it, yada, yada, yada. And yet, it's just not the same thing as feeling it in any way. So a good example of this, there was a relationship from my past. Really, like my first actual relationship. I met this boy when I was 12 and we dated till I was 17. And I knew that was a bad relationship. I knew that I felt horrible through the whole thing, but until as a grown woman, I sat down and kind of wrote out what happened, was I able to look at it and be like, holy shit, not only was that an incredibly abusive relationship, but also, because I couldn't even quantify it that way for so long because I was just cut off from my emotions about it. Plus we were like kids. And I just kind of was like, well, we didn't know what we were doing. We're just stupid kids. But I have since looked at that relationship and I have been able to draw a line from that relationship and many other things in my childhood straight on through a lot of other similar, if not identical, styles of relationships and the way I related to men and therefore to myself as a whole. And it was journaling that brought it out in me. I don't think you could have gotten me just to sit down and be like, oh, these years ago, this happened. In fact, it was a completely unrelated topic that I was writing about that turned into a dissection and an assessment and digging into the long repressed feelings I had about that situation. It's because of journaling that I was able to do it. I have gotten so many things out of me. I have been able to look at them, read it back, think about it. Because another thing is when you're writing, it is almost impossible to think about anything else but what you're writing. And in 2021, there is so much digital noise, so many voices, so many opinions coming into our heads all the time that it can be very easy to lose track of like where you stand in all of this. Like where are you in here? And when you're sitting down and you're writing, all you can think about is exactly what is going on in here. It's a very good mindfulness practice. Like meditation, super hard for me because this thing is just going a mile a minute all the time. And I know the point of meditation is to calm it down and observe it. But I would argue that this is just as good, if not better, for me personally in that way. So even if you've always wanted to try meditation, but it's not working for you, Try journaling, see how it works. My style of journaling as I've gotten older has changed. Like, I definitely still do just spend a lot of time writing things out. But then I also have this thing where I like to do kind of like photos or put things in it. I made this the other day. This is really ugly and stupid, but I made it and that's all that mattered. I watercolored this a while ago and I put down a quote and a Polaroid and some glitter, and I just did it. And what's weird about it is, as small as this may seem to other people, it was kind of a big deal for me to sit down and just create something and not worry about the fact that it was kind of ugly and kind of pointless and didn't look the way I wanted it to look. Like, the important part was that I was breaking down that barrier that I have built up for so long of needing what I do to be a certain level, a certain quality level, a certain thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, the act of not journaling, not writing, not being creative has been detrimental to me, because this little thing right here, this silly little page, was a big deal for me to make this. And not only to make it, but not to tear it out because I didn't like it, not to paint over it because I thought it was ugly. Like, just let this ugly, silly thing I made be, and have enjoyed the process and just kind of stretched my legs in that capacity. It's just the act of being creative. And this is one of my older journals. This one was from, I think, 2018 or 2017 to 2019, where I was a little bit more artistic in this time. I actually showed this one in a video I did last year that was like a morning routine that I did, because journaling has off and on been part of my routine forever. But it's just, like I said, an opportunity to just be creative and play and see what comes up. If you're not a good writer, if writing isn't something that comes natural to you, mess around with art journaling, because it's just a different medium that I don't fully understand because I am so wordy, obviously. But it can be just as therapeutic to express yourself through pictures. Like, I made this when I was going through a dark time in my life. I had moved away from Georgia and I was just feeling kind of leaving home and leaving my old self behind and all that stuff. And I made this. It might not make sense to anyone else who looks at it, but it does to me. And it was, again, so therapeutic. It's like a release. It just feels so good. To me personally, it's like one of the best things in the world when you have a good journaling sesh. This is another one that I've had before. I wish I would have finished this one because I liked where it was going. But I put the moon phases. I put the different types of moons that we have. I did card pull for the new year. I did just all kinds of different daily spreads I could do for tarot. I read tarot cards. I'm not good at it. Don't ask me to do it for you. But I love them. I've done like my Harry Potter house, things like that. You don't have to write what happened that day. It doesn't have to be, my dog crapped on my carpet and I'm really cheesed off about it. It could literally be whatever you want, whatever comes up, whatever feels good. And if nothing else, man, we spend, again, so much of our time on these damn phones. Getting off that phone, getting in touch with yourself, doing things with your hands. It's also a really good coping mechanism if you feel like you've had some pretty toxic ones lately, like drinking, drugs, binge eating. Get something else to do. It will kind of pull you away from that activity. They say you don't break a habit, you just have to build new ones. And that's a good example of what that looks like. This is a bullet journal. I don't really bullet journal anymore. I don't know if I want to do it now. Bullet journaling is another way to do it, although that's more for productivity, more like planning. But some people have found a way to incorporate bullet journals with memory keeping a little bit, and that is something else that you can do. But it's not something that works for me, because like when it comes down to my productivity stuff, I really can't have creative anything in it because I'll get too preoccupied. But I hung out in here and made spreads for a while as my bullet journal. Like, this is an actual bullet journal spread that I did that was meant for planning. So like, there's tons of things you can do with this. There's things called the 5-minute journal, which is literally, I'll link it down below. I'm not affiliated. I've never tried it, but I could see how it would be helpful for people who just want to start but are a little anxious. But I think that's a good thing. I think if you feel anxious about it and you feel like you have to be precious about the journal and you have to do it right, you need to do it even more if that's the case, because that means you have those holds and those barriers on yourself that is stopping you from even doing like a little exercise as simple as writing in a notebook. If you think you have to get that right, like I know that is seeping out to the rest of your life. So 5-minute journal down below, easy way just to like get into the habit of doing it. I will do all the journaling videos you guys want because there's actually a journaling community on YouTube and I love it. And I'll be hanging out in those videos all the time. But it's something I could talk about forever because I think, I've been doing it literally well over half of my life. And it's just so beneficial to me. I was going to show you guys 2 blank journals I have right now that I will leave down below just to give you guys some ideas of where you guys can buy one. Buy some. So a good example of another type of journal you could do, you can make a journal for anything. I had very particular intentions for this one, but it hasn't happened yet. I bought this journal off Amazon. It is so beautiful, you guys. Like all the pages, I don't know if you can tell. They're already watercolored, which is something I do in a lot of my journals anyway. I'll just go in and watercolor all the pages. So when I write in them, they just look really cool. But I actually bought this one because I was going to use it to write letters to my mom, or like, because not to make this really sad, but everyone kept telling me after my mom passed away to talk to her, and I can't do that. First of all, it makes me, like, even thinking about it's making me want to cry. I can't do it. I don't know why. I just can't do it because I don't know where she is or something. It's hard for me to do. But when I write to her, I felt like it would help me. I haven't started it yet. I think I'm scared to or something. But that's what I bought this for. Very intentionally bought that for that particular purpose. But maybe I'll put poems in here if I start writing poems again. Like, you can make a journal for literally anything. You can make a journal just documenting your pregnancy if you're so fortunate to be pregnant, or just helping you get through a very particular tough time. Like, it's just so good. This is my new journal that I bought when this one finishes, because we're pretty close. I'll probably finish this one probably by like July at the rate I've been going. This one, by the way, is a Moleskine. I don't know the dimensions of it, but I actually do really like this one too. So I don't know, maybe I'll buy this one again. And I've thought about using this one just to do like memory keeping, like tracking books I'm reading and, you know, things that maybe I wouldn't be so afraid to show other people, because I love journal with me videos. But whatever goes in this journal, like I would never share with anyone really. It's so personal. But this might be a fun place for me to put things that are just more like creative and I'm not so afraid to share, but I know that years from now I would love to have and look back on. And this is from a brand called Archer and Olive. This is my second journal from them. Really, really good quality paper. Like, you could pretty much do anything on this paper mixed media wise. It would probably hold up. Love it. Link it down below. Not affiliated anyway, like I said. This is a very all over the place video. Really what I was trying to do was open a dialogue with you guys about how much this is helping me. I told you guys in a recent video that I'm really working on my mental health. It's super important to me to get well and kind of process some things, because like I also said in this video, hadn't really occurred to me until very recently that I've not been feeling. I've been holding it all in, and now I'm moving through all that stuff and things are coming up. And what has come up most recently, most consistently in terms of like things I'm loving, it's journaling. It's really helping me get in touch with a person that I used to be that I think is pretty freaking great, and like can't wait to get her back. So if you have any questions about journaling, any suggestions, please leave them down below. Suggestions for videos, that is, please leave them down below. As always, thank you to the patrons. I'm turning this video off and doing a book video. Like I said, I think it's going to be kind of like a TBR, DNF, most recent reads book. I haven't done a book video since like last year, and I definitely want to start doing them more consistently because I think it just gives me like permission to read more, and I don't need it, but I wouldn't mind it. So yeah, if you guys watch that video and you want to vote in that video on some of the books that we could consider for the June book club, please feel free to do so, because it's very difficult for me to pick a fiction book for the book club. Nonfiction, I could name a million, but I think it would just be fun to do something different and do a fiction. So anyway, I hope you guys are having an amazing day. Let me know if you pick up a journal, thumbs up the video, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!